Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Diablo IV Mechanics. Today we're going to be going over a mechanic which is more complicated than it seems, and that is Lucky Hit Chance. Now, I'd like to explain Lucky Hit Chance to you as briefly as possible, but I am kind of long-winded, so it might not be as short as I would like. Let's go over it together, though, and hopefully I can explain it to you using what I know best, which is Diablo 2. So the reason why we're going to use Diablo 2 to explain this is because Lucky Hit Chance is pretty much identical to Proc Chance with some very small changes. And I think the best way to explain this is explaining Proc Chance. So in Diablo 2, there are items all throughout the game, like Windhammer Ogre Maul with a 33% chance to cast level 22 Twister. We have Carrion Wind with an 8% chance to cast level 13 Twister, 10% chance to cast level 10 Poison Nova, so forth and so on. And all of these effects can go off simultaneously, even if they all manage to roll at the same time, which is kind of rare, but it does happen. Now, basically what you do with Proc Chance in Diablo 2 is you put on your items, you synergize them up, beef them up in whatever the way that you can, using items or even just synergies. But whatever it is that you're doing, you're making them stronger, right? But you have to take advantage of the Proc Chance. I mean, if I have a 33% chance to proc an effect, well, wouldn't I want to attack faster and more times to make that effect happen faster and more times? So I'm generally going to lean in Diablo 2 toward an ability that attacks faster. The faster the ability is, the better the Proc Chance works. If I am a Barbarian, it's probably going to be Frenzy or Double Swing. If I am a Paladin, it's most likely going to be Zeal. If I'm a Amazon, it's most likely going to be Strafe. If I'm a Druid, it's most likely going to be Fury, and so forth and so on. And the reason why Proc Chance tends to do so much better with fast abilities is just simply because it's a very flat percentage. If I can attack more times, then I'm going to have more effects. Now let's go out and actually attack something real quick so that I can show you kind of roundabout how this works. And this character is really set up for this. His entire goal in life is to proc effects and dish out massive amounts of damage through these procking effects. So when he swings at targets, like these guys right here, what you're going to notice is we've got tornadoes just like coming out of his fists. We've got all sorts of crazy things happening just from running in and attacking the targets. We've got fire coming out. We've got tornadoes. We've got twisters coming out. There's even going to be things that come out like poison novas and whatnot. Now, if I were using the optimal ability, he would have more tornadoes and more, twisters and more things coming out than if I were not. And this is where Lucky Hit Chance comes in. Lucky Hit Chance changes the playing field. It levels the playing field across all abilities. What they have done is they've taken a slower ability like Maul, and they give it a high Lucky Hit Chance. And they take a faster ability like Fury, and they give it a lower Lucky Hit Chance. Because they know innately that skills like Fury that attack very fast are going to have a much better chance to proc an ability than something like Maul, which is a slower attack speed ability. So they're going to balance the equation by giving Maul a higher percent chance to Lucky Hit than something like Fury. However, because Fury still hits faster and more often than Maul does, the playing field is pretty much balanced. Despite the fact that Fury has a lower Lucky Hit Chance, it still is going to actually hit more often, and so it's going to be pretty much equal to Maul, which has a higher Lucky Hit Chance. Now, how does the equation actually work? Well, I have graphics for you guys. This one in particular is actually a loading screen graphic that comes on like from time to time when you're playing Diablo 4, so you may see it. But basically what it says is skills can trigger lucky hit effects. If a skill has a lucky hit chance of 50%, and an effect has a lucky hit chance of 20% to actually proc the effect, then the skill will stun enemies on average about 10% of the time. Now, how does this math work? I actually have a real-life example for you. So we're going to take this particular character, and we're going to pretend he got transposed into Diablo 4, and he was utilizing this item, which has the 33% chance to cast level 22 Twister on striking. Now, if this got transposed into Diablo 4, there would be a lucky hit chance modifier added in. And this is how the calculation for lucky hit chance works. So first I'm going to bring up my little handy dandy notepad here, and we're also going to bring up the calculator, and I'm going to explain things to you. So first off, the lucky hit chance is the chance for the ability to even try to proc the effect. So if this does not succeed, nothing happens. This is the first knock on the door, and if nobody answers that door, you get nothing, okay? So this is your first 50% chance that someone's even going to open the door at all and let this happen, all right? Your second chance, which is your proc coefficient, is basically the chance that's actually written on the effect. So in the case of Windhammer Ogre Ball, we know that it is a 33% chance to cast level 22 Twister, all right? So we are pretending that Maul, which is a slower ability, is given a 50% lucky hit chance. We know for a fact that our proc effect has a 33% chance as well. And we also have some other abilities. So we're running a passive that gives us 20% lucky hit increase. And we are also using some items that give us a 10% lucky hit increase, all right? So how did we run this calculation? Super easy, all right? Don't even think too hard about this. Take your 50% and move the decimal place over 2 times, all right? So instead of the decimal point being here, the decimal point will now be here, all right? So 2 spaces over, that's it. Doesn't really take a genius to figure this out, all right? So then you take your proc effect, do the same thing, move the decimal place over 2 spaces. Again, 0.33. There you go. Done. Now we're going to add a 1, because this is just how the calculation works. If you don't add a 1 here, you're not going to get the right number, all right? Then you're going to add together all of your increases, all right? So you're going to do the same thing with those, convert them into decimal points, move the decimal over 2 spaces. So our 10% becomes 0.1, and our 20% becomes 0.2. So we add those together, and we end up with 1.3, right? So then we take our 0.50, and we multiply that times the 0.33, which is going to give us the percent chance that our effect is actually going to happen, which is a 16.5% chance. Again, move your decimal place over 2 spaces. All right, but we got to add in our lucky hit increases. So we're going to multiply that times our 1.13, which we do inside the formula here. So 1.13, which gives us 21.45. Which you're going to have to move the decimal over 2 spaces again. So we have a 21.45% chance to get our lucky hit off. This means that instead of a 33% chance, like we would on the Windhammer Ogre Ball as it states, it's actually a lot less than that. But as you can see, it's still pretty good. Now let's run another calculation, and let's pretend we have, we're using Fury instead. All right, so Fury attacks 5 times. It's a much quicker ability, and it's probably going to have a much lower lucky hit chance. Probably something like 25% instead of 50. All right, so 25% lucky hit on Fury. All right, so we run the same calculation with Fury, and what we're going to end up with is we're going to end up with a much lower percent chance. But don't let that fool you. Because Fury attacks so much quicker than Maul, it probably is going to balance out. But let's run it anyway. So 0.25 times 0.33 times 1.3 gives us a percent chance of 10.725. So percent 10.725. So as you can see, it's roughly half the percentage as with before, but because we're hitting 5 times really quickly, it's going to balance out the equation a little bit, and it's going to end up being about the same. And that's really all you need to take away from this. All you need to take away from this at all is that lucky hit chance is just a way to balance out the equation so that instead of some abilities being way better to proc effects with, all of the abilities should be just about equal if they've done their math properly. Now, that's not to say that certain abilities might not still have a small advantage over others. But, for the most part, I think you will find that Lucky Hit is a far more even playing field than Diablo 2's Proc Chance, because Diablo 2's Proc Chance really kind of ostracized certain abilities when it came to procking abilities. In fact, it just never really used certain effects, with Proc Chance. In fact, some abilities, like Whirlwind in Diablo 2, were completely removed from Proc Chance. You could not proc any abilities with Whirlwind, which was pretty crappy. But in Diablo 4, it seems like all the abilities have just kind of had everything worked out so that it's just balanced around how fast they attack. Like, do they have increases to attack speed, things like that. Now, of course, you can always enhance the Lucky Hit chance, as we've just shown. So look out for that. If you're going to build a Proc Chance build, if you're going to build a Lucky Hit chance build, you definitely want to get some increases to the percent chance that those effects are going to go off, because if you're relying on those effects to go off, then you definitely want them to go off more often than not. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when we use Diablo 2 to explain Diablo 4, and as always, keep watching.